is Mila. What a great gift this is for the Filipino community. He's the first Filipino, will be on March 7th, will be the first Filipino bishop on the East Coast. Bishops from the Filipino community who serve not only the Filipino community but the church wide. And so we thank God, and we thank God for the Holy Father's choosing Bishop-elect Esmila to serve here in the Archdiocese. It's a great blessing. I think he's taken it quite well. I offer this Mass today in Thanksgiving for the Drexel Human Club here and for Professor Bruce McCullough. As we come together to celebrate God's great love. So once again, we find ourselves celebrating another Advent. Friends of mine have been saying for the last couple of days, I don't know where this year went. And here we are 3 weeks away from saying bye-bye to 2023. And now celebrating another Advent, which is actually the church's new year. So liturgically, we celebrated Happy New Year last Sunday in the church. A new year with this time of Advent. I always find this time of Advent somewhat of an interesting time because it's filled with a lot of noise outside. So outside of here, outside of the heart of the church, the world has been preparing already for Christmas since before Halloween. It seems like it gets earlier and earlier and earlier. Inside the heart of the church, this time of Advent has a different spirit. It is a time of expectation and hope. It is a time of that the church calls us to a certain silence and reflection. You notice the vestments change. They're actually penitential, calling us to conversion. It's a time that we remember the Christ who came. Oftentimes we think of Advent as a preparation for Christmas. But it actually really isn't. Because Christmas already happened. Like the coming of Christ already happened. So it is a preparing for a coming, but what coming is it? It's not the coming that already happened because it already happened. The church places our heart and our eyes on the coming that's yet to come. And then calls us through the scriptures to listen to the prophet in the same way that those that listened to him back in the day, over 2,000 years ago, were called to prepare then their hearts, to prepare the way for the coming of the Christ. So in many ways, we find ourselves in the same place than they did, because now we await another coming. When that coming will happen, I don't know. And actually, neither do you, right? Oftentimes the scriptures present people asking Jesus, so when is that going to happen? And Jesus says, not even the Son of Man knows. Not even the Son of Man. I always tell a story that back in the year 2000, I was teaching at LaSalle University. And that was the year that was the coming of the new millennium. And there was a lot of hoopla around that. I forget what the Y2K, I think they called it. And all the computers were going to mess up. And then many people from certain Christian groups actually believed that that was going to be the end of time. That the world was coming to an end. And I had one of those in one of my classes. A young woman, wonderful young woman, faithful young woman. But she was convinced. She was convinced that the world was coming to, we were coming to the end of time. And she spoke about it almost every week. I said, yeah, all right. But I was respectful. I listened and I nodded. But then like 2 weeks before the semester was done, she started going again, the Y2K, the end of the millennium, the coming of the end of time, Christ is coming and all that stuff. And finally I did have to ask her. I said, I really need to ask you, if you really do believe that the end of time is coming in like 2 weeks. You really believe that? And she says, yes. I said, wow. And then I said to her, so if you really do believe that, then I have to ask you another question. Why are you taking that course? Why are you here? What are you doing? It really doesn't matter. If the world's going to end, why are you taking this course? Why have you been coming week after week after week? And she couldn't answer. At the end, I said, let me give you a piece of advice. Study for the final. And that moment came and went. Came and went. Now that's what I love. Imagine the terrible man. 20 years ago. 23 years ago. Right? Came and went. But Advent does point us towards another coming. When that coming will happen, we don't know. But it does give us advice, calls us, tells us what to do while we're waiting. What do you do while you're waiting? Right? I hate waiting. I get impatient at a red light as I was coming down here, one after the other after the other. Waiting. What do you do while you're waiting? Well, the scriptures tell us what to do. To prepare the way. To remove the obstacles. To remove those things that would make us trip. Which is what we do when we're going to prepare a highway. They prepare it. They don't just come and begin to lay asphalt or concrete. They have to prepare the way. And oftentimes it takes more time to prepare the way than to create the way. A lot more time, actually. So people come and they clean it up and they level it out because they're going to lay down a new road. So what do we do while we wait? We prepare the way for Christ. Not into our lives because he's already here. But for that end moment. When will that come? Well, I don't know. So Advent is actually calling us all over again to prepare for the coming of Christ. But the coming at the end of time. But there are other comings that happen too. Other comings that happen too. There's the coming of Christ that comes every time we gather around that altar. Around the altar of the Eucharist. Where we bring our bread and our wine, and it gets returned right back to us. Body and blood, soul, and divinity of Christ. To prepare for that encounter, moments of encounter. There are the encounters that happen in our daily lives with people. Sometimes those encounters are beautiful and powerful. Sometimes they're challenging. Because we human beings are a piece of work. We could be really tough. But encounters, right? There's those encounters. There is another coming that happens when the Lord comes to call each one of us to him. And life as we understand it, at least here on the planet, comes to an end, and we're called to that place that he has prepared for us. When that day happens, that day is not at a time of our choosing. Not at a time of our choosing. But it is a moment of great encounter personally as our journey comes to its fulfillment. It's not the end of time, but it is the end of time as we understand it. And now we enter timelessness. We enter eternity. When that will happen for me, I don't know. I don't know. Could happen by the end of today, but I don't know. But what do I do while I wait? Prepare the way of the Lord. Now back then, there was a guy who was calling the people of God to prepare the way. His name was John the Baptist. And he was a voice screaming in the desert. He was a voice screaming in the desert. But there are voices, John the Baptist, so to speak, that also are voices screaming in our desert. What are those voices calling us now to? This particular Advent. I'm 35 years old. You believe that? No? Are you calling me a liar?
No.
No. But she doesn't believe that I'm 35 years old. So which is it? Am I a liar or am I not a liar? I'm just hopeful, right? 50-50. Right? So I've had 62 Advents. 62. Advent, really, the message and the characters of Advent don't change. It's basically the same Gospels every Advent. John the Baptist has been around Advent now for over 2,000 years. Yesterday we celebrated the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. The Blessed Mother is central to Advent. None of that really changes. Advent is the same, basically, every year. What does change, what changes? We change. Advent finds us in a different place every year. So this year of 2023, where does Advent find us? What has been going on in this year as you've been waiting and things have been happening? Because those things that have been happening are pregnant with meaning and purpose. It's God speaking to you and to me. It's God molding us and forming us. Bishop-elect Ephraim will never forget this Advent. He'll forget a lot of other things, but he will not forget this Advent. And 20 years from now, when he says, well, what was happening in Advent of 2023? Well, he got a very special call. So what's happening this Advent in each of our lives? What has been happening in this year of 2023? Some of the things have been very joyful. Some of them have been very challenging. But in everything that has been happening is the voice of John the Baptist. Because all these things somehow in some way work together for our good and for preparing the way of the Christ, for him to encounter us. He encountered the world over 2,000 years ago. He encounters us at the altar. We'll encounter him he'll encounter us actually in just a little bit. He encounters us in our daily lives and will encounter us at the end of our journey and at the end of time. But this moment in which we have been waiting and things have been happening, what are those voices calling you and I to? Because they are the voice of one that screams in our desert, calling us to prepare the way. Because Christ wants to come with great love, with great excitement, with great patience to encounter us. So spend a few minutes just thinking about What is happening? Where do you find yourself this Advent of 2023?
And we know that many Filipinos are Catholic, and they said we need a space to be able to celebrate the Filipino spirituality. And they reached out to two very special people that are here with us tonight, Bishop-elect Father Efren and Sister Gertrude, who's also here with us with the Filipino Apostolate. Both have been so gracious and helped to get this off the ground. There's so many other people that I'll let Maria thank as well. Maria, together with our Filipino leaders, have taken over for them and really made this a vibrant apostolate, which has really been a watershed for this parish, because after that, many other people said we also want to have a mass celebrated like our culture. And so the intercultural ministry was started afterwards. Several of our leaders are here as well. We did the prayers of the faithful, and it really has brought a lot of vibrancy, especially the Filipinos. We appreciate their joy and their welcoming. It's such a special blessing that really has enriched this entire community. So thank you all. I want to have Maria Roberts say a few words.
Thank you, Archbishop Perez, and thank you, Bishop-elect Father Efren and Father Carlos for this special Mass celebrating 5 years. We're so very happy and we look forward to this. Just like Advent, looking forward to coming. And first it was just Archbishop coming, and we're so excited already. And then yesterday with the news with Bishop-elect being appointed, the buzz was just too much. So it's overwhelming joy for all of us, and we're so happy to share it with all of you. So I just wanted to share a few words from Eugene, who was the founder with his mom of this Filipino ministry. And here it goes. It was 5 years ago, amidst a feeling of homesickness, that our Lord invited me to use my love for the Philippines and my love for the faith to start a community. It was a community that my peers and I were longing for, a community that we can call home. Little did I know that my little yes, combined with the yeses of Brother Patrick, Father, now Bishop Efren, and my mother Marita, will lead us to where we are today. I'm so incredibly grateful and blessed to have witnessed the growth and fruits of this community that is continuously sustained by the yeses of our current leaders. I am beyond excited to see where it will go in the next years or even decades. I believe that the Filipino people have a special role to play in God's plan. I invite all who are here to continue to give their little yeses and thus uphold the beauty and uniqueness of our being Filipinos. Happy 5th anniversary to everyone, and may God continue to bless this ministry. At this time, I would just like to recognize the Filipino Ministry Committee members who have been the backbone of continuing the work that Marita and Eugene had started, and the brothers and priests and our Filipino apostolate help support to continue this. So if our committee members just please rise as I say your name, and so that everyone can recognize who you are. Ray Reyes. Anniv, who Eldon is in the choir right now. John is in the choir. And Nina is sitting with her parents. Thank you to all of them for being and being honest with people. Sometimes you don't know all the things that go on behind all of this. So if you get a chance, they will introduce themselves, or you introduce yourselves to them. We are so very happy that you're here, and we thank all of them for all the work that they've been putting effort forward and continue to do so. So thank you. Don't want to miss the point where there was a time when Eugene had graduated, which I believe was 2021, or Elmer Montia was the one who led the ministry after that. And without him, I think it was just a little sketchy for a little bit because we were going through COVID at the time, but he managed to keep it together with Brother Patrick's help and everyone just being around him. So we have to recognize his work, and we really appreciate it. So thank you, everyone. Everyone has graduated, and he's still with us. So that's a good thing. So pray for him because he's discerning what he needs to do for his next career step. And then Erica, who is our current leader, Erica Acosta is a senior at Penn. Please stand up. And so we applaud her for her leadership tonight. Just to let all of you know, we have a lot of alumni here that are part of our committee and have been supportive all this time. There are alumni who work here and they give up their time and committee to support the ministry. And we hope that others who graduate and decide to stay in Philadelphia will also continue with this ministry to spread God's word and mission and disciples. Okay, at this time, we're going to have Erica and Ray come up. We have a present for Archbishop and then for our Bishop-elect.
I got two, you got one.
This was really a germ of a seed. It was a seed, and dear Archbishop, just really want to tell you our joy that the faith of the Filipino people go with the love of the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. And it is this little community that has grown so much, that has been nurtured by the faith of the Archdiocese that has welcomed us, And so, my dear young people, mabuhay. May God bless all of us.
And I'd like to call Father Anniv, or Bishop.
This is the day the Lord has made. You know, it's wonderful to hear that from the beginning, from Eugene and Marita, they already responded yes. May we always say yes via to God's will. And that's what happened to me last week. When a Cardinal Christian here called me and said that, are you alone? And then we have some chat, and then he said, I would like to inform you that Pope Francis appointed you to be an auxiliary bishop of the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. And then he said, will you accept me? And you know what happened to Father Anniv? I was quiet. I did not know what to say. But with our Blessed Mother Mary, I was able to proclaim, Fiat, let it be done. And so, that's it. But deep inside my heart, there's fear. Binakit ako. Because how did I do that? Just like Mary, how could it be? But then deep inside also myself, I'm saying, Jesus, I trust in you. Jesus, I trust in you.
Amen.
Jesus, I trust in you. Whenever we say yes and we are willing to do God's will, He will always provide. So there is nothing to be afraid. Do not be afraid, as we have heard in the Immaculate Conception Gospel yesterday. So for all of us here, do not be afraid. But let us always say, Fiat, mangyari nawa kayo sa inyong sinabi. God bless.
I'm sorry, I forgot one more thing. So at the end of Mass, we would like to have a picture with the Archbishop and Bishop, my friend. So can you please come up afterwards, and hopefully we have a few photographers that do that for us. Thank you so much. And we're invited later for the fellowship after Mass, after picture taking. Please join us for our Christmas party and fellowship and Thanksgiving for this wonderful anniversary. Thank you.
I would just like to recognize Sarah is always with us. So thank you very much, Sarah.
Have everyone's attention, please.
We say together.